Hi, this is a look inside FIT's rooftop beehives with beekeepers and FIT alumni Sarah and Michele. I'm Sarah, and I co-founded FIT Hives in 2017 to create a space for students, faculty, and staff to learn about and appreciate honeybees and their vital impact on the environment and our lives. We were able to create this initiative through FIT's Innovation Grant, or Think Big program, and with the incredible support and mentorship from the nonprofit organization, the Bee Conservancy, namely from its founder, Guillermo Fernandez.
Hi everyone, my name is Michele, and after Sarah, I continued the education part of FIT Hives on campus, informing our community on the importance of honeybees and urban beekeeping. Throughout my time with FIT Hives, we have invited the community to many events like our honey harvest and how to make your own lip balm from bee products. I'm so grateful to have learned how to beekeep with the Honeybee Conservancy. Today, Sarah and I continue to help beekeep at FIT and hope to see FIT Hives continue to grow. We have 2 hives on the roof, with each colony containing about 60,000 bees. When we perform hive checks, we are ensuring that the bees are healthy. We check to see if forager bees are bringing in pollen and storing enough honey to feed the colony. We also check to make sure that the queen bee is laying and new bees are being born. The queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day, so we also assess how much space is needed in the hive, and we add or subtract accordingly. As it is late fall now, we are paying close attention to how much honey needs to be stored in each hive to make sure that they have enough food to last the winter.
As we begin to pull frames from the topmost boxes of the hive, you'll see cells full of honey. Honey begins as nectar that bees collect from flowers. Bees have 2 stomachs, one for digesting food and one for storing nectar that will become honey. In the special honey stomach, nectar is infused with enzymes before being deposited into the cell. Once nectar is transferred into a wax cell within the hive, water is slowly evaporated out of the nectar, creating the viscous substance we know as honey. When the honey has the perfect ratio of moisture, it is then capped with a layer of wax by a bee. A single honeybee will only produce about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in her lifetime, and will visit up to 2,000 flowers a day to collect nectar. 1 pound of honey takes over 600 bees to produce, flying up to 40,000 miles to forage. The taste and color of honey depends on the time of year and the flowers in bloom during that season and in that location. In the spring, honey usually is a lighter blonde color and more mild and floral in flavor. In the fall, nectar that is available to bees is darker in color, creating darker honey. The flavor of fall honey is notably richer and is more robust in flavor. When bees are flying from flower to collect nectar, they are also collecting pollen and therefore pollinating the millions of flowers they visit. Nectar and honey is stored in wax hexagon cells that are made by the bees. Bees have special wax glands that help them secrete and form wax for their hives. Both wax and honey can be harvested from a hive by a beekeeper. When we do harvest honey at FIT, we always ensure that there's enough supply for the bees. Bees need about 40 pounds of honey to survive the winter, so we only take what we need. During the winter, bees do not sleep or hibernate. They will huddle at the center of the hive to stay warm together, just like penguins. They will not leave the hive as it is too cold for them to fly, so it's important that they have the food source they need within the hive.
Within a bee colony, each bee has their own role. These roles include to guard against intruders that may try to steal honey, to carry out the dead, to collect nectar, to nurse brood, and so on. All these bees are worker bees, that is that all bees are female. The majority of the colony consists of female worker bees. However, there is only one queen bee who can lay eggs and multiply the hive. Only female bees have stingers. Worker bees will die once they sting, so it is only used if the hive is in danger. The queen is the only bee that can sting multiple times. The queen is the mother of all bees in the hive and will live longer than any other bee. A worker bee will live 4 to 6 weeks, where a queen bee can live up to 4 years. If a queen's laying becomes slow or seems to be weaker, the hive will actually create a new queen in secret to take her place. Male bees are called drones, and they have no other role but to mate with other queen bees. They will not forage or help the hive. Once the weather becomes colder, the worker bees will actually kick out the drone bees out of the hive so they don't have to feed them anymore. No honeybee, even the queen, can survive on their own. Honeybees must live together in a community to survive. Bees communicate with each other through pheromones, which is why we puff smoke on the bees, to distract them and prevent them from communicating with each other. Bees will also communicate through movement. They will move in a distinct pattern to show other bees the direction of a flower.
The value of bees and other insect pollinators is very well established. The mass availability of commercial bee colonies for pollination has allowed us to expand the range and scale of crop production across the world. Bees pollinate 1/3 of the food we eat and play a huge role in agriculture. They help pollination of many of the crops we consume, such as almonds, apples, carrots, onions, and other staples in our diet. The removal of pollinators results in fewer crops and reduced food supply. Many plants have adapted to attract specific species of insect pollinators and cannot be pollinated without a specific insect. 80% of insect pollination is carried out by honeybees. Bees are considered a keystone group in an ecosystem and are so connected with other plants and animals that their removal can cause an ecosystem to collapse. The relationship between bees and humans has existed for centuries, and yet is fraught with contradiction. We rely heavily on their pollination and spend vast resources to create more hives for pollination or hobby, and yet continue with farming practices that place bees under ever more pressure and play a part in their population decline. Commercial pollination is a big business around the world, especially in the United States, where the practice of growing vast amount of single crop plantings leave little room for wild pollinators. This agricultural model is supported by migratory beekeepers who move huge numbers of honeybee colonies great distances around the country to pollinate these crops. There is widespread concern that this mass transportation, in addition to exposure to pesticides, is correlated with colony collapse disorder, which has decimated hives in the past years. The population of honeybees has declined rapidly over the past 50 years, at a decrease of 60% since 1947. Other contributing factors to their decline include loss of habitat, reducing the abundance of plants to forage from, and limiting natural spaces for bees to nest. Shifting climate conditions can also cause flowers to bloom at different times and in different places, limiting bees' natural food source, as well as confusing the bees and their sense of time and season. Chemical pesticides used both commercially and in smaller residential scale can also unintentionally kill off bees with other pests. Other assailants include non-native diseases, parasites, and predators, like mites, hornets, and yellow jackets, which can decimate a hive. At FIT, we treat our hives a few times a season for Varroa mites, which are the most prevalent mites across the country in beehives. The mites can latch onto bees in the larval stage and can cause them to be malnourished and have developmental defects like broken wings. Bees are not only essential to maintaining a healthy ecosystem, but they are vital to sustaining animal and human life.
There are many ways in which you can help bees. Try growing native plants and flowers that will help native and honey bees have more food sources. Support your local beekeepers by buying local honey. and learn more about how honeybees impact your community by supporting organizations like the Honeybee Conservancy. These little things can make a huge difference in our lives and in the lives of bees.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for your interest in bees. We hope to see you at our next FIT Hives event next season. Thank you!